All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So what I'm going to call this podcast is a lot of it comes down to respect. And me and my girlfriend talk about this a lot regarding me, I think, and her as well. But, one thing she says about me is that a lot of things don't bother me that you would think would bother me. And then other things bother me that you wouldn't think would bother me. Because I'm kind of somebody, I like people to say make fun of me. And I also like people making jokes. I like digs. I like all this fun, crazy type of things. And sometimes it goes too far. But at the end of the day, there's a fine line with me as far as, disrespecting me and respecting me. And that can go for, I'm not going to get into politics or anything, but even in our country, I think there's a fine line between, disrespecting our country and respecting it. I think with family members and friends, there's a fine line there that, we don't go beyond. Sometimes we do. But I think what most people want more than anything, and they don't talk about it, I think it's almost embarrassing, is they want respect. I think they want respect from if they're in a relationship, obviously, from if they have children, their colleagues, their friends. They have no problem, I think, a lot of us having a lot of fun and saying and doing a lot of different things. But I do think sometimes we feel like we've been disrespected. But on the other end, I don't think sometimes we also notice how sometimes we disrespect others. On my podcast, I always try to take an honest approach on both sides. That's one of the things I don't know what it is, but when somebody does something, I don't just always look at it from one side. I look at it from both, or I try to. And, that famous saying, there's this side and that side, and then there's the truth, right, to a certain degree. But I've even done things where even on texts, I may have brought this up previously, where, we have string texts with all my buddies, and then you're saying things, and before you know it, we may gang up on one person or whatever, and he may be in a bad mood, and then he gets nuts and gets very aggravated and lashes out kind of, and then I'm like, wow, maybe, I've said I've gone too far there, and then I literally will apologize. Because I think sometimes I do, and I think most of us do, we disrespect others, not even wanting to. Sometimes not even knowing that. But I do think a lot of times, a lot of us do disrespect others on purpose. Or we try to make them look bad to make ourselves look better. Or we just try to make a point a lot of times that maybe we're more knowledgeable or more smarter or stronger than them or whatever our thing is. And there's, again, we have to take an approach, I think a lot of times, not babying people, because that's the word, I'm not down with any of that, is just making sure, I think, that, we give people the respect they deserve. A lot of times I talk about, I have no idea, truthfully, what anybody goes through. I don't care if it's the one I'm in a relationship with. I don't care if it's my kids. I don't care if I live with you. I don't care if I see you on social media. I don't care if it's my parents, whoever. I don't live their life. I didn't live their life. I have no idea what they've been through for the most part. Because let's face it, we're not all attached to the hip. I don't know what everybody, is going through as far as what other people are saying to them. I don't know what they're going through emotionally. I don't know what their past, what people, again, have done to them. All these things come into play. So also, and the reason I bring that up is because I think a lot of times what I may not think is really that disrespectful, you may think is very disrespectful. And I kind of go through this a little bit with my kids, with grandparents a little bit, and I'll bring that up, not to throw them under the bus, but they weren't in an environment like I was. I was originally kind of around immigrant grandparents, so they had a way of thinking which was more Italian, I guess you could say, from Italy, that they incorporated in me, and then I had other grandparents that were born in the States. So it was a different dynamic there, right? And then my mother and father, their grandparents, it's a different dynamic because depending on literally the time and place you kind of come from is going to dictate a lot, I think, about how you feel what's disrespectful and not. And we have to, it's really hard at times, I think, to juggle all those things because especially when you start getting involved with religion, I have a lot of different friends in all different types of religion. And I always found it quite interesting how each one of them found certain things very disrespectful towards them. And I'm like, oh my God, how did you take that how did you get so offended regarding something somebody else said to you or something you even read about somebody or somebody that you may be working with or whatever? Because I'm like, that's kind of nothing. And to them, it's a lot. And if you look around, that's kind of just life in general, but I just want to do a podcast on this because I do believe a lot of times, at the end of the day, I think we want a certain type of respect. That doesn't mean we're looking for people to kiss our ass or acknowledge everything we say or just be firm and all that type of shit. I'm just saying, just maybe pay attention a little bit as far as respect goes. And I will say this, I will wrap it up officially with this. I see a lot of, I guess you could say Gen X. Is that what I am? Even baby boomers, or a lot of us say over 40. Kind of a lot of people disrespecting the millennials. And kind of really disrespecting them and kind of talking about all their flaws and what they do wrong all the time. And, you can't say that about the youth to a certain degree and not expect the youth not to say something back to you. Because I remember when I was younger, the same thing was going on. I remember the old timers kind of making fun of me, how spoiled I was and how they'd, growing up in the 50s and 60s and how hard it was. And even my grandparents with depression and all those things, that we were babied and we have all these things more than the other generation. And kind of like now what we say about millennials. You know what? Respect goes all different ways. I don't care what age you are, but you can't, again, expect to disrespect a generation or others, regardless what age they are, and not for them to retaliate. So I'll wrap it up there. You got any questions or comments, hit me up. I'm at richcelenza.com. And I wish everyone but the best.